to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Present.
Councilor Reuter.
Present.
Councilor Johnson.
Present.
Councilor DeWall.
Present.
Mayor Ward is also present. Please let the minutes reflect all others in attendance. Looking for a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes from Monday, December 20th, 2021.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion?
Just one, if I can, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Give me a second. It was where I was talking about the caboose. Present an update on the caboose project nearing completion. I presented an update on it. It's not nearing completion. It's under members' concerns.
Yep. Make those adjustments. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Public comment suggestion period of this meeting is when the city council offers a time for everyone in attendance or watching from home to address the city council. Once we move on from public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the council unless the mayor acknowledges you. As a general rule, the council will listen to all comments but will not comment on or respond to any comments made by speakers. The council will not engage in dialogue. However, any council member can ask questions. If you'd like to address the city council during the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, please come forward to the podium or call 218-628-6289. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the city council will be prohibited from using obscene, profane, or threatening language or boisterous conduct that disrupts the meeting or the security of the public. Is there anyone at this time that is interested in participating in the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting? Please approach the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I met you all last November. I'm Catherine Allman from the Renters Coalition at Grandview Manor. And we're in step 2 of our phase concerning the building and the maintenance. And I have a letter for each of you. I said Grandview? Yeah. Oh, I meant Hillside Gardens. So I don't know, do you want to, how do I pass these out? Okay, I'm trying to look. Yeah, there's a, in the last week of 2021, we have new management, which is Denise Norman now with Tillis Management. And I was going to contact HUD this week concerning our problems. We are still in dire straits concerning a condemned apartment that's in the building. And during Christmas, we had dead mice on sticky tapes in the solarium, and the place is just bad. And so this is the step that we're taking now, and we're going to be meeting with Denise whenever she started Saturday, so here being Monday. We haven't met with her yet, but there's a letter to Denise from us too, and we just wanted to give you an update that after this action, and if nothing is done from the city or from HUD or from the new management team, we are going to be going into escrow. We will not be paying our rent. So we're gonna give everybody like the February 1st to respond to something being done in our building, and we're giving Denise some time to meet with us concerning the problems inside the building and outside the building. So I'm just here to give an update and to give you a letter on our step 2 process, and we'll go from there. But nice to see you, and thanks for listening to me.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah, we had an infestation of bed bugs in the last 2 weeks. Oh, there are 8, not 7, there are 8. But I mean, it's gotten so bad in there that the rest of us, I mean, the furnaces or the heating systems in the apartments are going out. It's really, really bad. So we have no recourse but to do what we're doing, and that's why we're doing it. So thank you.
Ma'am, you're forgetting Councilman Troy DeWall on this. His name isn't on.
Oh,
So,
well, maybe someone can give him a,
no, you don't have it on the backside.
yeah. Huh.
You're missing his name. And
Huh.
I'm sure he wants all
Well,
this
sure.
information.
Well. Oh, boy.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything further at this time? All right, we'll move on then. Hearing none. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Counselor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Counselor Benson?
Yes, if we could pull 1A, please.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. A, communications, SCH meeting minutes, December 22nd, 2021. Counselor Benson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was just curious, under number 3, the salt sand, I think it's 3A, A1, the fabric color, the city prefers tan for the salt shed. Where that color combination came about? Tan, it's not a combination, but...
Right. So the committee was presented with 2 colors. One was a stark white, a bright white, and the other was tan. And your street crew members did some research and visited some different facilities. And based on their findings, they suggested the tan color. It kind of blended in more a little bit with the landscape, wasn't so bright white. And they felt it was aesthetically more pleasing than the bright white.
So it was just white and tan.
Those are the 2 options, yep.
Oh. And then the other one on the second page, BA, building foundation from a source well. It looks like it's $153,000 without the concrete panels. Do we have a cost for? I mean, I thought that was all included. So do we have a cost with the concrete panels?
I want to say that, without that having those numbers directly in front of me, that with an all-inclusive building was, from a contractor, was $225. And so we decided that we would go with Sourcewell and contract out or bid out the concrete panels ourselves in hopes of a better deal.
And down to number 6A2, discussing the 9th Avenue, 3rd Street project. And they were, in the minutes, limited, they were talking about the proposed improvements based on the comments. And I was just curious about what those proposed improvements might be. What changes, if any?
The comments at the meeting on 9th and 3rd Street were mainly focused around pedestrian traffic and what entrances the community uses to the school, what entrances are used by students, where sidewalks and trails and crosswalks would be best placed based on how the community is using those two streets for their pedestrian needs.
So have you received the updated exhibits yet from,
I have, yep.
so they're available, or you could?
At this point, they will be available to the scoping committee, the steering committee, which is later on in my report. And from there, the steering committee will start gathering the information that they need to make their recommendations as the design moves further along.
I know, even though I'm not on the steering committee, I would kind of like updates as they go along, just in case we don't want to send it back to the steering committee once they make a decision. My thoughts. And then on miscellaneous items, 9F, Boundary Avenue Sidewalk Project. And I thought it was interesting because I had an opportunity to look at that, and it goes back to what Councilor Weider had talked about before, is the crosswalk markings. And there is, according to the plan that I got to see, there are markings going from the Proctor side of 2nd Street over to the Duluth side. So there are markings which goes back to the fairgrounds and perhaps on Kirkus Street connecting the two recreation areas. But I just wanted to point that out. And thank you very much, Mayor, Council.
Any other discussion on 1A? Hearing none. To acknowledge receipt of the December 22nd.
So moved.
Councilor, was that you, Mr. Reuter? Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That'll bring us to 4A. Clerk advises council, 2nd Street project.
Thank you, Mayor. As I stated in just a few moments ago, the 2nd Street Steering Committee has been called together and they will begin meeting. And again, this is just to learn that the different funding sources that we're getting from this project have different requirements. So this is a way for the steering committee to learn all about those requirements, what the scope of the project is, what are some design elements that are acceptable for those funding sources, and then to give SEH and the City Council some recommendations on what will be included in the project.
Any discussion on 2nd Street project update? Hearing none, we'll move on to 4B. Sand salt facility update. Administrator.
The sand salt facility is well on its way into final design, getting paperwork ready for bids. I know that it might make some of you laugh to say that the project is on track for timeline because this has taken so long to get this project off the ground, but as far as the latest funding cycle and the timeline to get it done underneath that funding cycle, we are on time and scheduled to go out and bid in the spring.
Any discussion regarding that project? Hearing none, we'll move on to 4C, COVID update. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a difficult thing to navigate over the last couple weeks with the changes that have occurred. Of course, the increase in the number of cases several weeks ago, it touched several department heads, which caused some rearranging. And at this point, the update that I can give you is that I did start writing new policies. Again, 2 days after starting that, changes came down from the CDC. I have met with all the department heads to see how their departments are operating, if their protocols, what they're using as far as keeping their individual departments safe because each individual department has individual needs and operations. I'm very confident that each department head is handling COVID in their department as far as keeping their employees safe the best that they can. I am designing a survey to send out to the employees to judge how they feel we're handling the COVID situation, to give feedback from them on how we can, things that we can do better, things to judge their level of comfort at work, to see if they feel safe at work from the public and from other employees. So that should be done this week, and I'll send that out to all citywide employees. If you'd like, I could even include the city council in it if you'd like to be a part of that survey. Your input would be important. I also, with the help of Chief Gaddis, I signed us up to do in-house testing for our employees. Of course, with that would come policies, but first was to get a waiver from the state of Minnesota so we could perform our own testing. If testing is going to be a requirement or if it's more frequently needed, we can offer that as a service to our employees so they don't have to go seek testing outside and hopefully get test results back sooner. And that is all I have for COVID, if anyone has. So as far as social distancing, masks, vaccinated, testing, we are following all the CDC guidelines the best that we can.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions regarding COVID update? Councilor DeWall.
How are we treating when somebody is testing positive? I know last year was a little different because we were able to get some outside funding sources to help cover that cost. I don't believe we can any further. There seems to be kind of some people use vacation time, some people use sick time, some people might use comp time. Do we have a policy in play? It's like I feel like we're pushing this down the block and we've got people that are in the midst of it right now. And I just want to make sure that we're consistent across the board. So I'm wondering how we're handling that, because if we're handling it case by case, we're not necessarily treating people the same. I'm not good with that. And I don't know if that's something you're looking for council to decide. But I think at minimum, we should have some sort of action so that at least we're consistent. You know, to me now, I treat it as a sickness, an illness. I don't want those who, I'm torn, because if you treat COVID differently than you treat strep throat, you're penalizing one person for actually being sick. I think it should all come out of the sick time. I think case by case may deem what, you know, I guess council concludes of what they can do at home versus what they can do at work, because not all people have the same opportunities to perform their job tasks at home versus here. So I'm just wondering if we've discussed or you've talked about any of those types of situations. And like I say, we've had 3, possibly 4 cases in the last month and a half. I'm just curious how we're handling that end of it.
So right now, we are asking them to take PTO. We have not designated any specific thing that they need to take off. One very valid concern that I've heard from department heads and employees is that we have a policy, or it's in contracts, that if you don't take more than 3 days of unplanned sick time, you get rewarded, you get incentivized by that with a contribution into a health savings account. And one of the feedbacks that I'm hoping to get back from this survey is how the employees feel about that, because after all, we are in a pandemic, you know, and if you're sick, if you're vaccinated, if you're unvaccinated, you're required to take that time off. So then they're losing that incentive into that health savings account that they would get.
I think there's an easy solution to that. I think as it relates to the pandemic across the board, that would count as an excused absence.
Right, and
because you're going to know in advance by getting the test, so it could be a planned event. I haven't checked CDC lately, but I believe it was, 3 to 5 days after exposure that you can't even get tested the same day that you're exposed. But I mean, I just believe that we should be utilizing the sick time first, and if that runs out, then you go into your PTO. And my proposition would be that if it's a COVID-related planned, more or less, event, that doesn't go against them for earning their points towards the HCSP plan that we have in place. So that would not count. They would still get that benefit as an employee. I'd also like to see some kind of an incentive. I don't know how to work it, but for those who are not or choosing not to be vaccinated, because we don't have a clinic in house here, that somehow we come up with, I don't know what CDC says, but it's either 2 or 4 hours, they get paid to go get a shot. I think that would be a nice incentive for our employees so that they can't say, well, I don't have enough sick time, I don't want to burn it, I don't want to use PTO. We can all schedule it, get it done, and they get paid for that, to go get that shot. So just food for thought, but I just feel like we're kind of treading in the middle here, and we've already had people go through it, and not necessarily have we been consistent, and I believe that was part of the beef with one of the employees. So I guess I'm asking, I don't know if you want that to be a council decision to sort that out at this point. The policies and proactiveness, keeping things clean, I fully support the department heads being in charge of that. Preventive maintenance, if you will. But I'm just wondering if we're going to get caught here by not having here's what it is.
I feel that was part of the purpose of the survey, is to do an employee-wide survey. Again, I spoke directly with the department heads, and we did address a lot of those concerns, but before we jump to solutions, I thought that we would ask them truly what their concerns are. Maybe there isn't a concern over using sick time. Maybe there is a concern. Everyone has different plans for their sick time. Some may be planning families, some may be planning for a surgery, and COVID could take out and again, they're changing, the rules are changing all the time. So that's what I was hoping to get with the survey, Councillor DeWall, was to get some more feedback, honest feedback from the employees before
once we is it going to be, we're going to go retro back then to clean up so we're consistent with everyone that we've already dealt with, or we're just from this point forward?
From my knowledge, there's only 3 cases that would need to be cleaned up, and we have already worked those out with department heads.
Because I'm looking at the incentive of most people max out on their sick time. This actually gives them an opportunity for not using it to get an advantage and accrue more sick time. Because if you're maxed out on sick time, you're maxed out. You don't accrue anything. That's a disadvantage. That's why I'm more leaning towards sick time.
And I'm hoping to see that. See, really, is that the concern? Is sick time the concern? Is, and you got to consider, like, one family could be, it's not just the employee. If you have 2 to 3 children at home, 2 to 3 children could wipe you out for many, many days. So I just was curious to get back the results from the employees to see what their concerns are before we move forward in addressing problems that we may or may not know exist.
Do you know time frame on those surveys? Will they be going out this week?
The survey is going to go out tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow,
Yeah.
okay. So by next meeting, then we could have probably a good, solid idea of what direction we want to take this?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Benson?
I was just wondering if we have any money left over to try to get testing kits, those antigen testing kits.
So the testing that I applied for, the testing kits, was free through the state of Minnesota. And we had to get a special waiver in order to administer those tests. So we were approved for the waiver. I did put in the test order. And it has quite an interesting protocol and policies with it. So at this point, if they're available, they'll be free to us.
Very good. Do you know when they might arrive?
I do not know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Move on to 4D, new fire truck reception. Administrator.
Thank you. So the last council meeting, Councilor Johnson, you had a fabulous idea of giving the new fire truck righteous welcome and reception into the community, because it is something that we should be proud of, and we are proud of. After talking with Fire Chief about it, we had decided that, one, in the midst of their training, they're going to be in the middle of training on it, and would like to be able to do that in-house. And then second, with the rise of COVID, maybe inviting people into the fire hall at this time with our fire department members isn't a good decision. So he is completely for it and would love to have that opportunity, but we thought that maybe we wait until the spring where it can be a completely outside event. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding the fire truck? We'll move on. 6A, under new business, ordinance 04-21, second reading. This is from our last meeting, second reading of ordinance 04-21, ordinance amending general provisions to primary dwelling units. We're changing the square footage. The couple meetings ago, they had it at 800, now it's at 600, so a minimum square footage of 600. Motion to approve ordinance 04-21.
I'll move that ordinance.
Councilor
04-21.
Councilor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering if we had a feel or a count for the number of homes that are 600 feet and square feet and below or smaller, not counting apartments, just standalone residence dwellings.
We do not have that number at all. I wouldn't even be able to give a good estimate. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add to Councilor Benson's question, I don't know what direction you were taking that, but there is a language in there where if your dwelling is below that square footage and it burns down so many days, months, to rebuild that same size. So you kind of, that's why you're.
I was just curious if in the course of this ordinance law change, if there was a count, a physical count. I mean, I've looked at both the pros and the cons to having a, 400 to 800 foot, 400 as a minimum and up, and I could understand why cities perhaps wouldn't want one, and other places, they make perfect sense.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6B, ordinance 05-21, second reading. Again, this is a carryover from our last meeting, second reading on ordinance 05-21, amending section 1000.03, design standards of the City of Proctor City Code by adding subdivision 11, pedestrian infrastructure. Looking for a motion to approve ordinance 05-21.
So moved.
Councilor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. This is 6C, resolution 01-22, routes to school grant application. This is a application. City staff recommends adopting resolution 01-22, authorizing submission of a safe routes to school grant application. Is there a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6D, resolution 02-22, appointment of fire department officers. In your packet was a list of newly elected fire department officers. Looking for a motion to approve resolution 02-22.
So moved.
Counselor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Counselor Benson.
I was just wondering if the names on the second sheet, the fire department officers, are all correct.
I will defer to Counselor DeWall or Administrator Rich on that one.
Counselor Benson, this was given to me directly by the fire chief.
I was just looking at the assistant chief's name, the last one listed, Anwar.
He was promoted last year.
Okay.
I think the spelling is incorrect. It's your proofreading
Yeah.
eye.
It's with an A?
It is not. It's with an E.
It's an
Okay.
E.
I just didn't want somebody else to get a
Thank you.
Nice catch, Counselor Benson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Abstain.
Counselor DeWall abstains for the minutes. Motion passes. That'll bring us to the 60 expansion pay quote. In your packet this evening is a quote from Johnson Controls to replace an expansion tank on one of the boilers in the amount of $8,980. Looking for a motion to approve that quote.
So move.
Counselor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 6F, insurance waiver. This is your yearly waive or not to waive question on the monetary limits municipal tort liability. The recommendation is coming from our insurance, Eric Mattson and Administrator Rich, and their recommendation is not to waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability. Is there a motion to accept that recommendation?
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion passes. That brings us to members' concerns. Counselor Benson.
I will start off the year with no concerns.
Thank you. Counselor DeWall.
Just two things. I'm assuming next meeting is going to be a lengthy meeting, but wondering when we're going to see the internal budgets. We approved the levy, but we're going to do some horse trading on the internal side. I'm wondering when we're going to see that. And second, I'd like to have at some point, yes, council approved the salt and sand building, but we were supposed to be getting a proposal for where the funds are going to be coming from. I'd just like to make sure we stay on task with that. And that's all that I have.
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Nothing from me.
Nor I'd rather be on the first Monday in January 2022 as you folks. Other than that, you did not see the committee appointments on our agenda this evening. We will be doing that next meeting. Last year, I didn't like how we handled that whole situation. We just kind of gave everybody what they had in the past. Or incoming counselor, you kind of got stuck with the departing council members committee. So if there are any committees council members are interested in sitting on, please email Administrator Rich before the next meeting so we can have a good conversation and get people on committees that they want to be a part of. I think that would make it a lot smoother.
If we just want to keep it status quo, do you want us to respond at all or respond with, I'm fine with what I'm at on?
If you could respond, I'm fine. I'm fine with what I'm on. That would be nice to know that you're, because I am calling everybody on the list to make sure that they're okay with being on. If their term hasn't expired on some of the other committees, there's community members. So a confirmation would be nice. Thank you.
And along with that, we'll appoint our attorneys and newspapers and that kind of fun stuff as well. So if you have not submitted your RFP to Administrator Rich, please do so before the next meeting so she can go over those. Other than that, that's all I have. Administrator Rich, do you have anything further?
Thank you, Mayor. No.
You're good. Okay. Attorney Bray?
I have nothing.
Nothing for you. Looking for a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $98,730.22. And I had time to review them, so I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Reuter? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Counselor DeWall made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.